That's the easy one. I am scared to death of leaving the gym knowing I'm a loser and didn't give it my all. I think about that before each leg workout. And I leave the gym training halfway. And I leave the gym not really giving it everything I got. And always the answer to myself is, no way, I can't do that. I'd rather die than leave the gym a loser. So when I think that thought, when I get in the middle of the set, there's no holding back. I'll squeeze every rep out. And I'll go to the point to where I can't get any more reps, but I get 5 more. And sometimes 5 more after that. Most of us, we put limitations on ourselves as humans. We think that 10 or 15 is enough. There's more in you. There's always more in you. There's always 5 more reps. And I think with that kind of mentality, you can get through anything. Well, first of all, I think everybody has tremendous potential. One of the things you have to realize is that you cannot be a victim to your genetics. Your genetics must be a victim to you. But eventually, you learn how to pose from your own. You discover, you learn, you invent. And I learned how to pose initially because I wasn't a dancer, I wasn't a ballet person. The original early bodybuilding girls, they would say to me, I like that thing you do with your hair, Tom. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I would, they said, when you run your hand through your hair and you look up at the lights and you flex that one bicep, I like that. I'm like, really? I didn't know. So I used the feedback from the girls. I learned more about posing from the girls than I did from the guys back in the 70s and the 80s. You can ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? If you want it so bad, you would do anything for it, almost close to death, that's your talent. You don't even need talent for bodybuilding as far as genetics, but if you have that attitude, that killer instinct, is where you'll do anything it takes and everything it takes, you'll be successful, guaranteed. Make a promise to yourself. Promise yourself that you will never just give a little bit. You will always give it everything you got. You can do that. You can really promise yourself that and marry yourself with that promise. You get through any leg day.
There is no instant gratification in bodybuilding. I've often been asked, how long does it take to develop a world-class physique? Minimum of 10 years. And that is if the person is 100% focused on training, never missing a training session, and making sure that the training is intense, making sure that they have superior nutrition, that they're never missing a meal. Okay, most bodybuilders are not willing to eat every 3 hours, or they find it hard to do that, or they don't want to cook, and they don't want to prepare food, that they don't want to prepare ahead of time to make sure that everything is lined up. They don't want to get enough sleep. Okay, let me tell you this. If you're going to be a professional bodybuilder, if you're going to be a world-class athlete of any kind, you're going to be getting 8 or more hours of sleep every night. When everybody else is out partying, you're going to be in the gym with your nose to the grindstone. Okay, when everybody else is going out and eating the delicious food with all the fat and the sugar and the calories, you're going to be eating your chicken breast, you're going to be eating your vegetables, you're going to be eating your rice and your potatoes. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that it requires a level of dedication that permeates into every corner of your life. And that's integrity. That's integrity.
People want to know about how do we bring back that golden era, that time was so special. That's why old school is here. That's why we're here. And I think we need to get back to the joy, the sheer joy of training. I mean, the sheer joy of doing 15 reps with a stack of on the seated cable roll. Wow, that was fun. That was exciting. There's a lot of strategy in bulking up. People think it's overrated, it's antiquated, it's old school. It's what works. Eat big, think big, and train big. 3 to 5 reps was high reps for me, like most powerlifters. So the idea of doing higher reps, this didn't happen one day. I had a plan, a good part of a decade. In fact, within 20 years, I was able to learn how to do reps and condition my energy system and alter my energy system. In every sport, you're competing with another human, right? Except bodybuilding. You look in the mirror, that's the competition. So every workout, how do I beat that guy? Life is not about how many times you breathe. Life's about the moments to take your breath away. Keep it old school. Really, I mean, keep it old school. And that's why one of the reasons I'm with old school, of course, is because old school really is new school. In fact, it's the only school.
You gotta practice all the time, and not just when you're planning on practicing. Sometimes I would walk out of the shower and I have the stereo on. They used to call it stereo. They still call it a stereo? But the music would be on in my apartment. I'd hear a song and I'd go, oh wow, that's a great song, you know? Maybe sometimes my girlfriend would say, try this, honey. And I'm like, okay, let me try it. And that became my music. And I would think about moving, and I would practice posing even in the car. Of course, I couldn't get out of the car and practice, you know, on the street. But I would think about the movements when I'm driving. I would think about how I could express myself non-verbally. And one thing I don't see nowadays, and what I consider old school, is posing is non-verbal communication. You're talking to the audience and to the judges without words. Something you have to do. And that's missing nowadays. Everybody goes up and just, they hit a crab shot, they hit a double bicep, maybe a twisting back, they walk to the other side of the stage and they ask for applause. And I was taught by my mentors to talk non-verbally, to really just stand there initially and command a response from the audience.
When I met him, I remember in 1965 in Stuttgart in Germany at the Mr. Europe competition, Best Built Man of Europe competition. They also had a European Championship in powerlifting, and there were 2 categories, heavyweight and lightweight. And Franco won the lightweight division hands down. And I watched him powerlift, and he did the squats. He was this little guy. He was skinny at that time. He was not that huge or muscular or anything. When you look at the old photographs, you cannot even believe it. And so Franco would be competing there, and he would just outlift everybody. And so then when I decided that I'm going to move after my military service to Munich in 1966, the year later, I said to Franco right then and there at the competition, when we met in 1965, I said, we should train together. And then I taught Franco bodybuilding, because Franco always said to me, he says, I would like to be Mr. Universe. And I said to him, I want to be one of the strong guys. I said, can you work with me with my deadlift and all bench press and squats and all those things? And so we trained together. We were training partners. That's how we became training partners.